posted music to my YouTube channel. Would you guys be interested in that? Or do you just want this? Me reading my blog posts, every once in a while talking about something fun, like going to a writing conference, doing a marathon. Do you even want those videos, like the marathon writers conference? I'm so curious. The nice part about not having a ton of followers is that it feels like I'm a lot more open to anything I want to do. Like there's not quite a huge expectation. At the same time, they say to like grow your brand, you need to have a niche. But at the same time, I really like songs. I like writing songs and writing blog posts. Like they're kind of similar, kind of not. I don't know, comment down below if you would like to see some of my music, or comment if you just want these blog posts, because I'm open, you know, to whatever. Okay, for my next post, I have the tea. I have the deets, the dirt, the cat. It's with me in the bag. About to let it out. I wrote this for a friend. This was a requested one. And bless his heart, he was interested in this girl that I knew. I was friends with both of them, and she was spending the summer somewhere else, and he kind of told her that he liked her before she left, but they didn't have quite enough time to like become together, like in an official relationship. And so yeah, we talked about it, and it kind of led to me creating this article, actually for him specifically, about short-term long-distance relationships, where the person is gone and it's only for a little bit. It's not like your whole relationship is going to be at a distance, but there's still that instability because, I don't know, maybe they'll come back and feel differently, or like things weren't quite settled in the relationship yet before they left. This was a long time ago. This was May 7th, 2021 that I posted this. So a lot has happened since. I'm super curious what my friend's perspective on the situation is now. I should ask him. But anyway, blog title, Short-Term Long-Distance Relationship Advice. Successful long-distance relationships are a stretch when it comes to physical and emotional separation. They're not impossible, just hard and less likely. Thus, crowds go wild with shouts and hollers when a couple can function healthily in a long-distance relationship. It helps to remember that eventually the distance for a couple may be as short as the living room to the kitchen. Thoughts such as these provide hope and help. These type of thoughts are also especially helpful to couples who already have determined an end date to their divided presence, to those who are doing long distance for a temporary amount of time. In other words, the couples who are in a short-term, long-distance relationship. Although my direct experience in this field is not as vast as many others, I have still learned much through my short periods of separations from people I have dated. In addition, I have learned even more from many of my friends who have gone through even longer periods of separation. So here's some advice and 5 basic points for couples going through a short-term physical separation. The advice provided can be modified based off of season and length of the period apart. Number 1, communication. In any relationship, I mean any, long distance or not, functional communication is key. That's why experts always talk about it. Now, when I say functional, I mean communication that includes respect, listening, and efforts to selflessly understand. This excludes sarcasm, name-calling, comparison, ignoring / the silent treatment, blaming, harsh tones, derogatory remarks, references, oh my gosh, references to past incidents, and more. Unfortunately, the list of what not to do could get really long. Realistically, keep the other person's well-being at the forefront of your mind, and you will find it much easier to have functioning communication. The challenge in long-distance communication is often the when and how. For when, and partly how, some couples may FaceTime multiple times a day, while others may only do it once a week. If a couple is really old-fashioned, and may I add, inspiring, they may write each other's letters now and again. All of these tools work well for communicating. However, I would avoid talking only over text messages. Phone calls open up an opportunity for direct communication, which provides a space for growth and spontaneity. Unfortunately, texting can eventually become a crutch for the lazy. It's far more convenient. However, relationships aren't about convenience. They take effort, so make the effort to call, if only once a week. That said, ensure to make time in each other's schedule to call at least once a week. If you want a relationship to prosper, you need to prioritize it. Overall, discuss your desires and expectations with your partner. If you want to talk every day, let them know. If you feel more comfortable doing it less often, express that as well. But be flexible and feasible. If your significant other is making efforts to have a phone call, but can only find time in their schedule to do it twice a week, or can only talk for 30 minutes at a time, adjust and understand. Balance is not always easy. For how, plenty of people may agree that calling is important. Yet another discord seems to find its way into things before a phone call takes place. Who rings up the number first? Whatever your expectations, don't completely abandon them, but be ready to modify them. When it comes down to it, relationships require efforts from both participants. The same applies to phone calls. If you're waiting for a phone call and not getting it, communicate what you want. Say you would like a call and set up a time. If this happens once and then the other person never does anything, you can weigh your options. Abandon pursuit or express politely, with the other person's well-being in mind, your expectations. After expression, if those expectations continue to go unfulfilled, it is time to move on. On the other end, if you know someone wants to have a phone call, be willing to have a phone call. Try it out. Don't be afraid to bear the beginning burden of taking the initiative, especially if you suspect your partner may be expecting it. Go ahead. Make their day. Remember, effort is continual, and doing it once doesn't mean you never have to do it again. However, after the ball gets rolling, your partner will likely jump in to help keep the ball moving. And if they don't, let them know that you would also like to be on the receiving end of the phone call, especially if it's from one of your favorite people. It's not too hard to understand that. Overall, as stated before, finding balance is key. Those involved in the relationship need to be open with one another and have discussions about what they expect and what they want to gain from their efforts. It is much easier to talk about what one wants early on rather than to wait until after feelings have been hurt or mistakes have been ignorantly made. Make a plan early on. The first step, schedule a call to communicate about all of this. Number 2, enjoy the outside world. While some couples struggle to find time to correlate, other couples never stop. On the extreme side, a person may almost never leave their house unnecessarily, constantly communicating digitally with their lover. More commonly, a person may still go out but find themselves lurking back into the wall of their screen, trying to stay connected to their partner through text or other means. For most, this is understandable. Usually, without the separation of distance, your partner might be accompanying you when you go out with friends. So it is natural to miss having him or her there and want to replace their physical presence with an online presence. Or perhaps you want to share the excitement while it all happens in the moment. When it comes down to it, all healthy relationships need a balance of together and separate. It's often a dynamic between lovers, friends, families, and work. Although let's just assume that phone problems aren't happening at the workplace because I'm not going to tell you what to do at work. It may feel easy to justify ignoring friends for interacting with your SO, since the two of you are technically always separate physically, and any time that feels like you're together is vital. This excuse doesn't hold up though. Online or not, a break from your loved ones needs to happen for rejuvenation and a chance to be present in the world. Believe it or not, when you finally do rejoin with your partner, you may find that you appreciate them even more. Number 3, share your worlds. Being present in the world without your loved one opens up a path for growth. Sharing experiences and thoughts you had throughout the day. At times, this might seem quite mundane. Maybe the most exciting things that happened was someone leaving donuts in the break room, which happened to me today, and it was honestly thrilling. If it seems lame, share it anyways. Honestly, I usually relish in hearing my husband talk, even in the subjects he thinks I will find boring. In part, it is because he is so quiet, but I mainly love hearing him talk because I can't talk. No, I mainly love hearing him talk because I love him. Sharing stories or talking about the basics of the day experienced separately improves a healthy feeling of connection within the relationship more than constantly talking ever could. It allows for many different levels of intimacy to growth, such as emotional intimacy, intellectual intimacy, and spiritual intimacy, all of which I mentioned in an earlier blog post and YouTube video. The higher the intimacy levels, the higher the feeling of connection to your lover. Okay, number 4, ask questions. Physical distance does not decrease the odds of getting to know your partner. In fact, it will likely increase them. Without the aspect of physical intimacy possibly interfering with perspective, distance allows for a good chance to step back and really make sure you understand the person you're dating. And of course, what a great way to know the person you're investing your time in than to ask them questions and to listen. There are plenty of books, cards, and online resources that provide fun questions to ask. I would recommend popping a question or two daily, but do not feel the need to sit down and go over a list of them. These questions are exciting in small tastes, but exhausting in large portions. Then, after asking something fun, follow up with the question, why? This will be the best way to reveal the workings behind the person answering. Next, don't be afraid to also ask the basic questions, such as, how was your day? What did you do at work? Any plans for later? Again, make sure to ask the follow-up questions. How was that? What do you say that? Oh, why do you say that? What do you look forward to most? Why? They're simple and expected, but these conversation starters will get you more than a forecast of the weather. Trust me. Finally, when you get asked a question, do not hesitate to give a good answer. Some may feel reluctant to share because they may not be able to think of anything exciting. It doesn't really matter. This isn't Greece, and you don't need to transform yourself to capture the heart of your loved one. Share what seems fun and share what might seem a little boring. Likely your partner didn't ask because they wanted entertainment. They asked because they care and want to know more about you. So be willing to help them get to know you. 5, don't give up. I really do not need to type more than that, but I will. Face it, time spent apart isn't fun. I feel quite lucky Josh and I haven't dealt with this too much yet, but I sympathize with my friends who have. Is it worth it? Will this last? Do they even still like me? As hard as it is, keep in mind that difficulties will happen, long distance or not. If you can figure out how to overcome the doubts in long distance and make the relationship work with your partner, you're one step further in your growth as a couple. And when it comes down to it, this is long distance short term. Don't get stuck counting down the days, but remember the time apart will come to an end soon. The reunion will be worth it. That's a wrap on my short-term, long-distance relationship advice. The basic 5 points of advice will serve as a guide to some of the questions you may find yourself asking. I didn't write that, but I said that. And some of the troubles you may encounter. In the end, distance can make or break the relationship. It's a scary notion, but think of it this way. Distance will either bring you closer to the right one or farther from the wrong one. So take on the troubles of long distance with a positive outlook, and you can make this experience a benefit to your relationship, not a detriment. Close. Okay. Actually, funnily enough, but not funnily enough because it was not fun, that summer, Josh and I kind of had like a mini long distance. It wasn't actually like real long distance, so again, for real long distance people, I'm sorry. You can roll your eyes. It's fine. But he was working at a summer camp. So most of the days a week he was there and he slept there overnight. And then like on the weekend we'd be together. Sometimes he would find time to like drop by during lunch, but I was also working, so it didn't always overlap. And it was a lot of work for him to come down, so it was hard. And I told him I never want to do it again because I have like, that stuff is hard. Long distance is hard. So I guess my thing is some sympathy there. I've also done long distance like before Josh with other boyfriends. And at different amounts. Like one long distance was 30 minutes away, but I was in college and he was in high school. Like I was a freshman, he was a senior in high school. And so it was kind of more difficult, and the fact that like he was still kind of living that life where he had to drive his siblings places, and so he couldn't just like come and see me. Like I would always have to come and see him, but I was so busy because I had soccer practices and we were like in our season and our preseason. And then my other long distance relationship, he was way more than 30 minutes away. He was in a different country. So I was in the United States and he was in England. We didn't meet online. We met in person. We knew each other for like half a year in person before he decided to move back home. And then that was like also crazy. And man, do I have stories that I could tell y'all. But maybe I'll just save those for when we hit a higher following, right? Give y'all a little incentive to share with your friends. It's so wild. The point is that some of my long distance didn't work out, and that's the point where like it kind of did drive me apart from those people for different reasons. Versus like I've seen friends who have long distance and they make it work. And then also I'm sure you've seen on YouTube like couples like Jess and Gabriel Conti, who like I follow them on YouTube, I love them. Their long distance brought them together. So it just depends, and it's nice to think of it as it's just a short-term long distance. And honestly, I think there are a lot of long distances, even the regular ones, where you can add short-term to the beginning of that, and maybe it'll make it feel a little better. Because a year or 2 years is small compared to 40, right? Not to say it isn't hard. Heck, a week or two can be hard. It just depends. So I hope you guys liked it. Let me know your thoughts about this. If you have any extra advice to add on to, especially if you're in a long distance relationship or have been in long distance relationships, I would love to hear. because everyone has different experiences, and I definitely don't know everything about it, especially for people who deal with the military situation. Like, my husband's dad was in the military, so that is just like, I like honor like both participants who are doing that, because that is just like blows my mind so hard. Okay, well, thanks everyone, and I'll see you soon. Bye.